The rising star ended 2018 ranked 178th in the world. Now she has won one of the most prestigious tournaments on the WTA Tour. Bianca Andreescu, photo by Priceline Kyo, copyright at Sport Vision. If somebody said a year ago that Canada's Bianca Andreescu would win the Indian Wells title at the age of 18, they would have most likely been called mad. At the time she was ranked outside of the top 200 and battling for points at ITF events across Japan. Even though many knew she was a big talent following a successful junior career, few expected her to rise up the ranks so rapidly, making her breakout on the Pro Tour in 2019 even more spectacular. It all started at the ASB Classic in New Zealand at the start of the year. Fighting her way through qualifying, Andreescu stunned the draw with wins over top 10 players Caroline Wozniacki and Venus Williams. She would go on to reach the final of the tournament before losing to Julia Gorges. Suddenly the WTA Tour was starting to pay attention to the threat posed by the two-time junior Grand Slam champion in doubles. Gaining in momentum, Andreescu's meteoric rise peaked on Sunday at the BNP Paribas Open. Accepting a wild card into the tournament, the teenager stunned former world number 1 Angelique Kerber in 3 sets to win her maiden WTA title, becoming the first wild card in history to do so and the youngest player since Serena Williams back in 1999. I'd like to thank BNP Paribas for giving me this opportunity. Without them I wouldn't be in this situation right now. I'm beyond grateful for that, she said during her press conference. It's incredible to have my name beside so many incredible champions. It's a dream come true. The most appealing thing about Andreescu's game is her ability to mix up her shot selection. Against Kerber, she frustrated her with a combination of delicate drop shots and deep-hitting backhands towards the baseline, preventing Kerber from maintaining her rhythm in the match. She played the whole tournament good. I know that I had to play my best tennis. At the end I was not able to take my chances, but she did it, Kerber said of the Canadian. Bianca Andreescu has done it. The 18-year-old Angelique Kerber 6-4, 3-6, 6-4 to become the first WC ever to win the title in Indian Wells. What a fantastic start to the season. Auckland Final, Q, House Open R2, Q, Newport Beach 125K Trophy, Acapulco's Indian Wells Trophy 28-3 with L. In 2018 at the same tournament it was Naomi Osaka in the limelight. At the same event she won her maiden title on the women's tour. Osaka would then go on to win back-to-back major titles and become Asia's first ever #1 player. It's definitely inspiring seeing her claim the trophy last year, and winning 2 Grand Slams right after that has been amazing to see, she said of the current #1. I don't really want to focus on the future right now. I just want to enjoy this moment, because I don't want to take anything for granted. You never know what next week brings. I just want to savor this. One of the most striking things about Andreescu's play is how mature she appears to be on the court and how well she reads the game. Admittedly, against Kerber, there were moments of her having a teenage tantrum. However, she was mainly composed and professional throughout, contributing to an expanding fan base and praise from top figures in the sport. One of those admirers is Martina Navratilova, somebody who is deemed as one of the greatest female tennis players of all time. Speaking on BT Sport about the rising star, she drew parallels between her and Andy Murray. She still has a way to go to play like him, but she is definitely on that trajectory, said Navratilova. She's got all the goods, she just believes in herself. What she can improve the most is the forehand. It gets a little off when she gets nervous. Physical fitness, that will just happen. She'll become more match tough. She's got really great hands, knows when to use what shots. Her tennis IQ, shot selection is really outstanding. Murray was 21 before he won his first Masters 1000 title, the male equivalent to the premier mandatory events on the WTA Tour. A product of Canada's rise in the sport, in recent times it has been Andreescu's compatriot, Milos Raonic, who has been flying the flag for his country in the world on tennis. However, with a rapid rise in teenage stars emerging from the North American country, Andreescu belongs to a group of stars in the making. Alongside Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime. Unreal at Andreescu_face screaming in fear face screaming in fear. Way too good. First of many flexed biceps congrats girl. In 2017 the federation named her Player of the Year. Sylvain Bruneau, who is the current head of women's tennis for Tennis Canada, serves as Andreescu's coach. It's easy to get distracted, Bruneau told the New York Times earlier in the week. But it's going to be part of my work to make sure she stays in the moment. Trying to get the 18-year-old to stay composed may be easier said than done. She exits Indian Wells with a paycheck of $1.3 million, rising to a ranking high of 24th after ending 2018 at 178th in the world. Everyone's victory in Canada gives each one of us motivation and inspiration to also do well. If they can do it, we can, she said. I think this win will definitely give many people confidence, young athletes, maybe aspiring athletes also. And I'm just 18, so if I can do it, they can. Andreescu is without a doubt a star in the making, but it remains to be seen how great she can become. Thiem paid tribute to the 20-time Grand Slam champion just moments after achieving his Masters 1000 milestone. After falling short on 2 previous occasions, Dominic Thiem has clinched his first Masters 1000 title after defeating Roger Federer 3-6, 6-3, 7-5, in the final of the BNP Paribas Open. The 25-year-old battled back from a set down with the help of an aggressive game plan, illustrating why he has been mentioned as one of the principal players to rise to the top of the men's game when the era of the Big Four comes to an end. The triumph of the Austrian is a bittersweet pill for Federer to swallow, who also narrowly missed out on the title last year. Federer was bidding to become the first player in history to win in Indian Wells for a 6th time. Only 3 places separate the 2 players in the ATP rankings, but it was the more experienced Federer who was the overwhelming favorite heading into the final. The world number 5 was playing in his 49th Masters final, compared to Thiem's 3rd, seeking his 101st title on the tour. Nevertheless, Thiem prevailed with the help of 24 winners to 25 and forced errors, winning 70% of his first service points and saving 9 out of the 11 break points he faced. First of all, Roger, it's such a pleasure to still compete with you, to learn so much with you, to play with one of the biggest legends of all time, to play in a big final with you, it's amazing. It's not real for me, Thiem said to his opponent after the match. In the 5th installment of their rivalry on the premier Indian Wells Stadium, it was the Swiss player who got off to a perfect start by racing to a 3-0 lead, capitalizing on an error-stricken Thiem service game. Despite his solid start, Federer didn't have it all his own way during the opening set thanks to a relentless Thiem battling back to close the deficit to 4-3. Spin when you're winning. Thiem's kick serve was read like a book by the former world number 1, who returned one of those serves with a backhand down the line winner to break for a second time in the match for a 5-3 lead. The opening set was then clinched with the help of a mistake made from across the court. I would like to see more variation in his serve. Just look at Rogers, you hardly find back-to-back serves similar to each other. Gunter Bresnik on Dominic. An increase in the intensity of his shot-making throughout set number 2 derailed the Federer Express, abruptly changing the momentum of the match. The assertiveness of the 20-time Grand Slam champion evaporated as Thiem took proceedings into a decider, doing so with the help of a Federer backhand drifting long. With all to play for, there was little to distinguish between the two during the closing stages of the match. In the end it was just a couple of points that separated Federer from the title. At 5-5 in the decider, a tentative drop shot was punished by Thiem for a chance to break. An opportunity he seized after hitting a cross-court winner. Closing in on his maiden Masters title, Thiem prevailed after 112 minutes of action, claiming victory after a Federer forehand plowed into the net. "I think I had to get used to Roger's game because in the first set he was playing amazing and completely different to my other opponents I have played in this tournament," Thiem reflected during an interview with Tennis TV. "I was struggling a little bit, but then I was fighting my way into the match. Got a bit lucky when I saved breakpoints early in the second set. Then I think it was a very good match until the end." Thiem now leads their head-to-head 3-2 and has defeated Federer for the first time on a hard court. He is the first player from his country, man or woman, to win the Indian Wells Trophy. Meanwhile, a disappointed Federer will have to wait another year to have a shot of winning the tournament for a record 6th time. "For me, it has been a great week, even though it didn't work out," said Federer. "What a great week Dominic has had, congratulations. Beautiful play at the end of the match," he added. Now with a new coaching setup, which features former Olympic champion Nicolas Massu, Thiem will rise to world number 4 when the rankings are updated on Monday. He is the 67th person to win a Masters title since the category was introduced back in 1990. "We may not have gotten Federer, Nadal yesterday, but today we get two fresh and intriguing matchups in the singles finals." Roger Federer. Photo by Chrysaline Cayo. Copyright at Sport Vision. Use your arrow keys to browse. Just 2 weeks removed from winning his historic 100th career title, Roger Federer goes for number 101 on Sunday, as well as his record-breaking 6th title in Indian Wells. Dominic Thiem stands in his way, and is vying for the biggest title of his career. On the women's side, Angelique Kerber has 3 majors to her name, but has yet to win a premier mandatory event such as this. Her opponent is one of the biggest surprise finalists in recent memory, an 18-year-old wildcard who started the year ranked 178th in the world. Angelique Kerber, 8 vs. Bianca Andreescu, WC. Embed from Getty Images. In just her 8th career WTA-level event, Andreescu has reached a premier mandatory final. It's an astonishing run from a player with so little experience playing against the game's elite. The first few months of 2019 have changed her life. She started the year having to qualify just to get into the Auckland main draw, yet reached the final of that event. After also qualifying for the Australian Open, she won a challenger title in Newport Beach, and reached the semis in Acapulco. Now she's won 6 matches in Indian Wells, including 3 straight wins over top 20 opposition. Her run here is reminiscent of Naomi Osaka's from a year ago. Osaka came into the 2018 Indian Wells event ranked 44th in the world, and having never won a WTA title. A year later, she's the world number 1, and has triumphed at the last 2 majors. Is Bianca ready to win an event of this magnitude? It'll be tough in her first ever meeting against a player of Kerber's magnitude. Kerber is an incredible fighter. She redirects her shots. Like, she can hit any shot at any time in any specific place whenever she wants. She has a pretty decent serve. She's a good mover, great fighter, the Canadian told reporters on Friday. Andreescu is coming off a physically and emotionally draining semifinal against Elina Svitolina, where Bianca fought off the onset of cramps at multiple times during the 3rd set. She let out a lot of emotions after that dramatic win, and coming back less than 48 hours later for the biggest match of her career is a big ask. Kerber should be the fresher of the two, as her semifinal with Belinda Bencic was about half as long. Angelique will take over the number 2 ranking with a win today, which seems like the most probable outcome. As great as Andreescu's shot-making has been, Kerber will defuse a lot of that. And experience should be a key factor for the 31-year-old German. I think it will be a good match on the high level, and I know I have to also play my best tennis, especially in the important moments. Kerber. Quick fact: Andreescu is the youngest Indian Wells finalist since Kim Clijsters back in 2001. Kerber will rise to world number 2 as she wins the title. Andreescu, who ended 2018 at 178, will rise to a best of 33rd. Andreescu will earn a minimum of $686,000 for reaching the final. Entering the tournament, her career prize money stood at $350,909. Kerber is the first left-handed woman to contest a final in Indian Wells since Monica Seles back in 1992. Andreescu is only the 5th unseeded player to reach the final in the history of the tournament. Kerber hasn't lost to a player ranked outside the top 50 since Alison Risqué at the 2018 Mallorca Open. Use your arrow keys to browse. The Austrian is set to re-enter the world's top 5 following his run in Indian Wells. Dominic Thiem. Photo by Priceline Cayo. Copyright at Sport Vision. For a player that has enjoyed the vast majority of the success in his career on the clay, Dominic Thiem is determined to prove that he is a contender on any surface. The 25-year-old Austrian has been able to highlight his case at this week's BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells. After a turbulent start to the year due to illness, Thiem has battled to his 3rd Masters 1000 final and the first on a hard court. On Saturday he edged his way past Milos Raonic in 3 sets, hitting a series of breathtaking backhand winners and winning 82% of his first service points. I played really well the whole match, basically. I didn't make a lot of unforced errors. I always made him, Raonic, play at least in my service games. And I had a very good first serve percentage. That was great, Thiem told reporters afterwards. In general, it was a very good match because the only breakpoint I had to save was in the last game, and that was what I wanted to do, to play my service games well and not let him too many chances. He added. Sunday's final will be Thiem's 19th on the ATP Tour, but only his 4th on a hard court. His greatest achievements to date have occurred on the clay, finishing runner-up to Rafael Nadal at the French Open last year and winning 8 out of his 11 titles on the surface. Thiem is also one of only 3 players to score a trio of wins over Nadal on the clay, alongside Novak Djokovic and Gaston Gaudio. One thing that would never change is that clay is my home, stated Thiem. It's my favorite surface. I grew up on it. I just feel great whenever I come back at it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a good all-rounder, or not a good player on different surfaces. He added. Whilst there is praise for the Austrian and his performances on the dirt, sometimes he can be underestimated on other surfaces. Even though he is a current U.S. Open quarter-finalist, former Mexican Open champion and has previously triumphed on the grass at the 2016 Stuttgart Open. Out to prove that he is a true all-rounder, Thiem accepts the idea that the courts in Indian Wells reminds him of playing on the clay. This year is his 6th appearance in the main draw of the tournament. This surface and also the one in New York U.S. Open, for example, it suits me pretty well, because it's bouncy, especially during the day. It's not too fast, so it's a little bit more similar than a clay court. He explained. The biggest adjustment is the moving, that I cannot slide around. Standing in the way of Thiem and his maiden Masters 1000 title is the formidable Roger Federer, who is a 5-time Indian Wells champion. Federer is the 2nd player in the history of men's tennis to win 100 titles after Jimmy Connors. He progressed to the final after rival Nadal withdrew from their clash due to a knee injury. It's always something special to play him and also something special to compete in a Masters 1000 final, Thiem said of his upcoming clash. I know it's going to be very tough, but same time, I will give everything to hopefully win my first title. Their head-to-head is currently tied at 2-2. Thiem has lost their 2 previous encounters on hard courts. However, he has got the better of the Swiss world number 4 on clay and grass. Should Thiem prevail in the final, it would underscore his ability to be a all-round player, a prospect he is relishing. It's not my call to be known as a multi-surface player, but it's nice for me and also for my confidence to have really good results also on the other surfaces. He concluded. The men's final will take place not before 15:30 local time on Sunday.